Welcome to the Green Building Resource Center, which is upstairs. Actually, welcome to the Houston Permitting Center, which is the whole building. And then the Green Building Resource Center is upstairs. And then I do this in conjunction with the U.S. Green Building Council chapter, although they had a busy day, so they're not here tonight. But that's okay. They provide the food, so that's great. I'd like everyone to help themselves, what have you. Also, we have politically correct disposal decisions over next to the table. So one for trash, one for recyclables, one for food waste, and one for styrofoam, because I have a styrofoam densifier upstairs, and I can make short work of styrofoam. Everybody knows that's 95% air, and so this densifier actually heats the air out of it, and then I get the polystyrene, and then I've got a contractor with the city who takes that and recycles it. So, let's see, any other housekeeping out the door, over to the right towards the elevators or the restrooms, to your left right before you get to the elevators. And we are starting about now, and we're over at about 8. So that's nice, except for this one kind of bad thing. We are going to be talking about our community solar adventure here, and we have Dory here to talk about that adventure, and the other speaker was, I hate it when I use the word was, so you're getting the idea that that other speaker is not coming. The Tesla guy had to bail. I guess the end of the quarter activities are, what was his words? Crazy. We'll leave it at that. So, interestingly though, Theo, who is going to be participating with Dory, get this, is a solar installer, and he used to work for Tesla. So now he's not going to be able to speak for Tesla. He's not going to be able to give you the what Tesla is doing at the moment kind of information, but he can actually speak about kind of the Tesla side of distributed power, which would be something that you would buy and put on your house, okay? So that's very important, and you might be going, oh, why is that important, Steve? We could just do without it. Well, another thing I do is I set these talks up for 90% of the time to have CEUs. So in order to have a CEU, I needed that dialogue between the community solar part and the on your own property part, and without having the on your own property part, that would kind of set up this situation where I didn't fulfill my learning objective component or responsibility. So Theo is actually helping me out in a big way by being able to pinch hit and talk about how in the world we put solar the conventional way versus this unconventional way, okay? So, without any further ado, let's get started. We're filming this, by the way, HTV. Sherry, thank you very much.
Beyonce couldn't make it.
Yeah, exactly. So we will have this available for download and viewing on my website, although that takes time, and I don't exactly have an exact ETA, but we'll get it. I've got a few on the website, so you can see that. So I'm going to tee it up here by showing just a couple of interesting, late, kind of breaking solar things with the City of Houston. Okay, so if you were to get online, this is what the Houston Permitting Center web page looks like. All right, Houston Permitting Center Building Code Enforcement. And this is a marvelous little chart of our solar permits that Building Code Enforcement has granted since 2008 up until 2018. So we finally broke 100 in 2015, 100 per year, not 100, but 100 per year in 2015. And then in 2016, we went up to almost 200. We broke 200 in 2017, and then broke out in 2018 with 566. So you might be thinking, how many people are in Houston? how many million? That's not a lot. Okay, I mean, I'm sorry, but the graph looks good. So what can I tell you? I mean, we were just kind of floating along. You know, this is not San Antonio. This isn't Phoenix, Arizona. Okay? This is Houston, where we don't know if we were really into it. And, you know, the statistics don't lie. We kind of weren't into it, were we? Now we are. Well, we're sort of are. We're, okay, so we're on a good trend. That's really what it's saying, is that's a trend. Thank you very much. So then I went ahead and thought I'd get aggressive here. And it's really kind of nice because I'm starting to be able to ask for reports like this and get them. So I asked my data person to please give me the 2019 data so far, number of solar permits. And she did, and pretty quickly. And now I had to project. We don't have 653 as of the 1st of September. No, this is projected. I went with that rate, you know, times, you know, whatever the percentage was to get it up to, if we keep this rate till the end of the year. So this is projected to the end of the year. So you can see that I wouldn't say we're leveling off, but the slope is not quite as steep, but it's still positive, and you know, it's going to look like the stock market. So, you know, we may even have a little decrease, but then we're gonna go there because solar is coming on like a freight train. So I just thought you'd be interested to see how we're doing with actual data for actual permits for actual people putting stuff on the roof. Because you have to get a permit, by the way. This is not a DIY activity, okay? You can kill yourself and electrocute yourself by playing around with solar panels, okay? Because you are tying into actual, you know, conventional power. And we all know that if you're in the wrong place, the wrong time, touching the wrong wire, you can do some serious damage. Okay. So another kind of nifty thing is when you go to the website, you can actually go to our dashboard and you can see things that are in the system in plan review. That's what these donuts are. And there's other charts. I just kind of went to this one because there's something interesting here for people who care about solar. All right, so there's lots of charts. This is kind of our total projects, you know, donut here showing traffic and health and food and city planning and so who's permitting what. So there's new single-family residences. Here's solar panel installations. See, by asking for this data, I kind of got on a roll, and it's like, wow, these guys were going to do this? Then I kind of threw in, hey, what if we track solar? The mayor is on top of this. We're promoting solar. We have, you know, kind of a Solar in 7 initiative here, and this is a good thing. They went, oh, okay. I didn't even have to go convince, you know, like the mayor to do a top-down. It just kind of happened. So that's what that looks like. So this is the big side of the total projects. So you can see, you know, the myriad of permits that are going through this building here. It's pretty amazing, okay? So there's the solar. So at this moment, we have 41 in the system. The oldest plant is 13, so we're not quite making our 7. And one of the issues that we have with that is that every now and then there's a project that's in the floodplain. So that is going to guarantee slow you down. Sorry, you know, quit doing stuff in the floodplain. It'll be a lot quicker. Oh, but that's where my residence is. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I don't know how much of a discussion we can have about that, except I'm sorry, okay? But at any rate, the point is solar projects have to be approved by electrical and structural, okay? So we want to make sure that it's set up electrically properly, and then we want to make sure that the panels are attached to your roof properly so they don't fly off in hurricane winds. Everybody got that? Okay. We don't want panels flying around. So those are the two main things, and then we have this little thing called pending release. So we're getting better at that. That's kind of where it's in the queue to get out. So we have a lot of plans in the system. I wish that was more perfected, but it's not. So anyway, there you go. That's how this works, and you can kind of keep track of, for anybody interested in how solar is doing, there you go. All right, so Thank you very much.
You have a quick question, Steve?
Yeah, quick question, go ahead.
Any idea how many megawatts or kilowatts those permits represent?
No. That's one of those cool things I would love to do, but to tag that data on the report, we aren't doing that. Now, that, thank you, could happen. I mean, what we have to, so that's in the plans, and you see we would have to take that out of the plans and put that in some sort of record that would go where all this data goes, and we are not doing that yet. Yes?
I need to repeat.
Oh, yeah, the question, okay. Can you tell me what the question is? Do I, the tying the kilowatts of power to, is that tied to the permits? So that if I could pull a report, we could have how many kilowatts of power we have permitted in the year? So that was the question, and the answer is, I'm gonna work on that. Yeah, Jim?
If a concerned citizen submitted a Texas Public Information Act request for the permit applications, did they put that data together?
Yes, so the question is if a concerned citizen at $25 a clip wanted to request the public information records?
No, it's per page, not $25 per clip.
Okay, per page?
Yeah, it's 10 cents a page.
Okay.
No, that's not true.
No, not
They
true?
charge a processing fee if it's
Yep,
PPA?
yep, TPIA. IA. Well, anyway, so the point is it could be done, but not free, just saying, and you could do that. So it would be much better if I could, yeah, we need to kind of work that. Maybe we could get some kind of, email your building official. Yeah, I work for him. So he gets a few emails saying, I'd really like to see this. It could happen. It could happen. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is there any indication that we've had any solar thermal projects?
Is there any, the question is there any indication that we've had any solar thermal? Yes. And I could go through those records and pull up the project number and go look to see which ones were solar thermal. And I'm going to say, right off the bat, it's probably about maybe 5%. Okay? So but that's just a rough guess. Okay. Yes?
Can the solar permit be a part of the building permit?
Can the solar permit be a part of the building permit? Yes. Is it done that way very much? No. And if it's so that you could have the whole building take advantage of the 7-day turnaround, no, not happening. It has to see more departments. So you wouldn't be able to take advantage of the.
Cannot include it in
You can. No, you can. I'm just saying that not very many people do that.
drag along sometime later.
Usually people, to be honest, my take on why that's not done more often is that the builder, homeowner, entity would probably want to contract directly to have a solar thing done rather than throw it into the whole building. That's my guess. Then instead of paying the general contractor's markup to include that into the system. I'm just saying. But it can be done. You can put it in there. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah. We're kind of winging it, and I didn't get Theo's bio and all that introductory information. I am going to just let Theo introduce himself and talk about his Victory's name here?
Victory Solar in
There
Houston.
we go,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
let
yeah.
him talk about what he does.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Hello, everybody. I'm Theo Gervais. Good evening. Yeah, as Steve said, oh yeah, I've got to stay. Oh, I've got the lapel. Great, I like to walk around. So, as Steve said, I'm the backup quarterback today starting. So, I'll try my best to answer all of your questions. If I can't, the good thing is there's always Google. So, a little bit about me. I've been in solar for about 8 years. I got started with a company called Solarcraft. And so what Solarcraft did was they built solar uninterruptible power systems for oil and gas companies. So when oil and gas companies have computers and equipment all out in nowhere far off Texas where there's nowhere to plug in. We manufactured these aluminum boxes with battery on the bottom shelf, electronics on the top shelf, with solar panels mounted on the boxes. So they would have uninterruptible power for their pressure transmitters, level transmitters. We did it for CO2 sensors, for power plants, making sure that the dangerous gases don't get into our schoolyards and stuff like that. So I did that for a little while. Then I went into instrumentation. I was pretty good at that. Then I went into residential and commercial solar installation, where I am now. My kids think I'm Captain Planet. They think I'm saving the earth, you know, one roof at a time. So I feel good about what I do. I'm very excited about what I do. Yeah, Steve.
So Theo,
Yeah.
in my take, that any kind of solar job is a green job.
Absolutely.
So when you were doing that, did you feel like you were in, a green industry doing the green thing at the time?
Yeah. You know, I like to say, you know, I was in solar before it was cool. You know, before it was trendy, before all the politicians were like, yeah, I'm for climate change, I'm for climate change. Well, I was with climate change when Al Gore was preaching it, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm an enthusiast, I'm a solar warrior. So when I ran into Dory and she told me about this amazing project with Sunnyside Energy, I was like, use me wherever I gotta go, coach, put me in. You know, so that's kind of why I'm here. But yeah, as far as residential, so you want me to go to a little solar 101 about what kind of how residential would impact you? How many homeowners do we have here? Okay. So how many people pay an energy bill here? Great. When do you guys, anybody can answer this, when do you guys plan on stopping paying for that bill? Yeah. So that's where solar comes in, right? So there's crazy statistics about why you should go solar. You don't have to believe in global warming or climate change for solar to make sense, because there's financial principles that makes it make sense for homeowners, and I'll go over a couple of those here. So you're not planning on stop paying for your energy bill. There's 1,000 new families moving into Texas, I think it's per month. And ERCOT and CenterPoint, the people that put the poles and the wires and all the infrastructure and everything like that, they're switching from wooden poles to metal poles now because of hurricane season and stuff like that. They're making all these new projects so that now Katy is a part of Sealy, which is a part of Cypress, which is a part of Houston. It's all going to be this big metroplex where everything's touching everything. And guess who gets to pay for all this expansion? You guys. You homeowners, right? So you get to pay for that. And so because of that, energy costs have increased 4% every year on average. In 2018, it increased 18%. And so there's nothing you can do about it. You are in an open-ended rental agreement for the rest of your life. If the energy cost goes up, you still need lights, you still need to charge your smart devices, and even if you were to say, no, I'm not paying for power anymore, and you lit a candle in your house, CenterPoint would come over and blow the candle out, and they would say, no power, I said. No lights. That's what they would say. So with going solar, the first financial principle is renting versus owning. And you could be an MBA, you could be a CPA, you could be a financial analyst, but you can't argue with me that renting was always better than owning. I mean, if renting was better than owning, then we would all just drive Uber everywhere and we wouldn't pay to own a car. We'd just keep pumping money into Uber. So that's what we're doing right now with the energy companies. You're basically paying for paperwork. Because CenterPoint's the one that's producing all the energy, but you're paying for Reliant to get that piece of paper in the mail every month, or TXU to get that. Does anybody work for TXU or Reliant? Okay, good. So yeah, you're just paying for this customer service type deal that you rarely get to see any benefits from, but you're paying that bill every single month on a consistent basis. Nobody's gonna give you a pat on the back for paying your bill on time. Nobody's gonna give you any rewards or anything, but I'm sure the CEO of Reliant appreciates you paying for his yacht party this summer. So he thanks you for that. So this is basically what it is. It's moving from a liability payment every month to an asset payment every month. That's what we're doing. You're paying this money anyway. So with going solar residentially, you have several options. You can finance it, you can write a check, but majority of the time what we do as installers is we want to make that monthly investment that you're paying for solar. It's never going to be as high as your highest bill, and it's never going to be as low as your lowest bill. It's going to stay right in the middle, and it's going to stay consistent every month. No matter how much power you use or how much power you don't use, it's going to stay consistent every month. And then when you get to that point where you make that last payment, boom, now you are the CEO of your own energy company for the rest of your life. Your kids don't have to pay another energy bill. As long as you're in that house, you don't have to pay another energy bill. If you wanted to move, you could take the panels with you. You know, you are a CEO of your own energy company. So there's another financial principle. So how much was gas when you started driving? Yeah.
Maybe $1.50 a gallon.
$1.50. And what was it when you filled up last? $2.19. That's pretty good. I've seen $2.29. I've seen $2.39. So we're talking about $1.50. We'll say $2.29, right? Next year, the average gas price will be a little bit higher. It might dip for a second, depending on what's going on outside of the United States. But then it's going to go back up, right? It's going to go back up. We know that. So what solar does is we're going to say that we're going to pay for your gas at about $2, about $2 a gallon. And you're going to pay $2 a gallon for about 10 years. And then on that 10th year, you own the gas station. You can fill up your car anytime. You still get energy. You still get gas. But you don't have to make that monthly liability payment anymore. So those are the two pretty much financial principles that I preach in everybody's living room that I've been doing it for 6 years. So nobody can argue with me that that doesn't make sense. The sun is going to hit your roof every day, no matter what. And for solar panels to work, the technical part, it doesn't even need direct sunlight. It just needs UV rays. That's how solar panels work. Once those UV rays hit the solar cells or PV cells, it's going to turn that direct current down to the inverter and turn to AC current, and then we get the lights. The house is not going to notice the difference of the power. It's still going to be the same. All right. So you had mentioned that I worked for Tesla at some point. And if we know anything about Tesla, we know that they're pretty good at the battery thing and power storage. And, I was a big fan of Elon Musk. He's a genius, a scatterbrain genius. But one of his banner inventions and for Tesla is the battery. The car is still not, completely affordable. But the Tesla Powerwall, what we're talking about, is probably the banner invention of Tesla. And so why that changes the game, batteries altogether, is why that changes the game, is now that pretty much eliminates the need for your retail energy provider. It pretty much eliminates the need for CenterPoint. We've got power plants exploding in our city. We've got coal plants shutting down. We've got fracking, all kinds of bad things happening to the planet because so many people are on the planet that are using power. But right here in Houston, Texas, we use I don't know what the statistics, it's almost half the power in the United States is used right here in Texas because we have so many bodies. So the battery situation comes in is where, number one, we're producing our own power because the sun is hitting our panels, we're producing power during the day. Now we have an opportunity to harness that power, keep that power till we need it in the evening. Now let's say another hurricane comes in and blows everything down, CenterPoint is down. There's gonna be one or two houses on the street that still have their lights on, their meat is still cold, and the kids are still playing on their games, and what you're gonna notice on the side of their house is a battery. That's where we're moving toward. We're moving toward energy independence. And that's what I coach in living rooms. That's what I teach in living rooms. And right now, obviously, there's a 30% tax credit to go solar. So this investment, you're going to get 30% of that back toward your tax liability. Now, when it comes to businesses, you get to write off 85% of your investment in solar. And you're going to get a return on investment like 13%. With homes, you're going to get a return on investment about 10 to 13 years. Let me see what else I can cover. Anything else I can cover, Steve? Yeah,
On the Tesla Powerwalls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll go into detail about that.
Since you were selling those,
Yeah.
how many Tesla Powerwalls would it take to kind of, do the trick for a reasonable sized house?
Got you.
What was that story?
So, with Powerwalls, we used to sell pretty much a home ecosystem kind of thing. And so what we would do is one Tesla Powerwall, it holds about 15 kW, 15 kilowatts, which is really good size. Now, the cost for the battery technology, we're not there yet. These batteries are expensive. I think a Tesla Powerwall or a LG Chem battery, which is only 9.9 kilowatts, is going to run you about $10,000. It's going to run you about $10,000, but this is all installed and everything. So when I would talk to families that would live in like more rural areas where CenterPoint, their reach was kind of weak, and they would go through a hurricane situation and it took CenterPoint days and days and days to reach them. These are the people that were interested in the Tesla Powerwall, the battery backup and stuff like that. So what I would coach them is tell them is we would wire the battery to necessary appliances. So if they had a deep freezer or refrigerator, maybe a TV, maybe a big screen TV, you'll be able to survive with no power from a 15.5 kilowatt for at least 5 to 7 days. And that's being modest with your power. Okay, that's everybody hanging out in one room. Just the AC, using the refrigerator. You're able to survive in about 5 to 7 days. And that's if the sun doesn't come up in 5 to 7 days. Okay, you have an uninterruptible power system. The depth of discharge is about 60%. So, in the evening when the sun is not out, you're going to use that Tesla Powerwall and use that LG Chem battery, which is going to spit out 5 kW at one time, and it's going to surge at 7 kW. So it's going to discharge, and once that sun comes up, we're recharging that battery with our solar panels. And then that process just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. But if for some reason the wire was cut between your inverter and the battery, yeah, you'll be able to watch all your reality shows for the next 5 to 7 days with a Powerwall or a battery backup. Yes, sir.
One of the cool things that Tesla patented was management system. So
Yeah.
say a neighborhood community,
Mhm.
they all have solar installed
Yeah.
and battery, a Tesla Powerwall. That neighborhood could be managed. That
Absolutely.
entire district could be managed.
Mhm.
Utilize that energy more efficiently depending on what these people are doing.
Yeah.
And you couple that with utilizing some air conditioning, mitigation, thermal storage, stuff like that.
Yep.
We can really do some dynamic stuff with this technology.
Yeah, you know a thing or two about a thing or two. So yeah, the solar Powerwall talks. It communicates, and it updates through the air by itself, just like your phone. So yes, you can have a fully integrated subdivision, basically a co-op that can run independently off itself. And Tesla did a project similar to that in Australia, where they powered a whole town. They did a project like that for Puerto Rico when they had a situation. And I believe another one in Hawaii. They have a megawatt farm.
That's the great thing about community solar. So
Mhm.
we're looking at larger scale solar combined with community solar projects. There's a way to intelligently connect all these things. And that's the thing, connecting the dots.
Yep. Yeah.
batteries talking together.
Yeah.
The technology is there for this thing to become more intelligent and more cohesive.
All this makes perfect sense, right? Why isn't everybody going solar? It makes perfect sense. There's so many myths that we have to bust. Solar is expensive. I can't afford solar. Well, if you can afford Reliant and TXU and Stream, then you can afford to go solar.
So when you were
Yeah.
working for Tesla,
Yeah.
was there any other Tesla products besides the Powerwall?
Well, there's they were going to, I don't know if they're still working on this, but they're working on solar shingles,
Right.
right? And so when I was there, they were supposed to roll that out in California last year. Like I said, Elon Musk is a genius. He is a genius, but there's so much going on in his head that it's hard for him to keep deadlines. And we would meet as a group to hear him talk, and it was just cringeworthy. We didn't know what he was gonna do, because I mean he's kind of a pacer, and he's just kind of talks like this, and just this I did, this I did, this I did. But yeah, I mean Elon Musk, he sells flamethrowers, and he makes literally he's a rocket scientist. But yeah, it was solar shingles, the Tesla Powerwall that we were kind of pushing. Obviously, there's vehicles, they run on battery too, but that's his main baby. We just got to figure out a way where we can mass manufacture it, get it to people on time, and make it affordable. Because we're an oil and gas city, and if it's not easy, if it's not convenient, if it's not super cheap, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear about it. I know am I missing any other information? Do I have any other questions or anything? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You said it was in Puerto Rico and where else?
It was in Puerto Rico and Australia. It's.
Are they up and running now?
Oh yeah,
Okay, so-
yeah. You can go to Tesla's website and see it. It's a field of Tesla Powerwalls, and they're all daisy chained with a field of solar panels. And these towns, the hospital, the schools, they're completely independent, power independent.
So is that something they're gonna bring over here, or?
We'd like to. We'd like to. The powers that be, there's a lot of red tape. But with people like Dory, people like Efron, people like Steve, people like myself that are, fighting the good fight and out here spreading the gospel of solar and renewable energy. Like I said, you don't have to believe in climate change. You don't have to believe in global warming. Just believe in what financially makes sense. I mean, we even get religious. I'm a firm believer that God has put everything on this planet that we need to stay healthy, to survive, to live fruitful lives. He brought the sun. He has plants for our medicine. And somewhere along the way, we decided to charge for all this stuff. But it grows on the ground. It shows up in the sky every day. We just need to invest in the equipment to harness the equipment. Even if you're paying about $200 a month on average with your bills, over the next 25 years with a 4% increase, you're going to end up paying about $95,000 over the next 25 years for your energy. Yeah.
So does Tesla outsource solar panels when, since they're not selling too many
Yeah.
of their solar shingles?
Mhm.
Or, is there a Tesla factory that's making any, or, how?
That was the plan. That was the plan. Elon Musk, one of his harebrained schemes was to make a gigafactory in places like Buffalo, New York, Detroit, and Detroit, and Chicago. We were gonna. What we were trying to do is manufacture solar cells there. We know right now that China kind of corners the market on solar cells. Solar panels are put together anywhere, everywhere in the world, but majority of the solar cells are coming from China. But once the tariff was kicked in for solar cells, that project was kind of curbed. But yeah, I mean, as far as the solar panels, Tesla was never married to any manufacturer. We sold LG panels, Panasonic. There's a good old Texas-made panel in San Antonio called Mission Solar. They have a really great campus where they actually manufacture the whole panel, and you can go on a tour. It's really, really cool. This guy that looks like Bill Nye does the whole tour, and you have to put on your lab coat and your protective eyewear because they are legitimately making panels right there in front of you. It's really dope. They have a field of solar panels that are on a axis that follows the sun throughout the day. It's really cool. But yeah, they're not married to any inverter manufacturer, any rack mounting manufacturer, or any solar panels. There's no such thing as a Tesla solar panel as of yet. As of yet.
But the thing is, if you contacted them, not like I'm trying to promote Tesla over, your company or anybody in this country, but, they're selling the Powerwall. From what I understand, you could also get a solar installation and, because they've been putting in for permits to do entire systems.
Yeah. So what happened was I got hired to a company called Solar City. And about 3 months later, I was working for Tesla. I was like, this works out. That's pretty cool. But yeah, Tesla kind of, I guess it was the cousin of Elon Musk or some story like that. But we sold the whole system. We sold the whole system, and I kind of interjected that we started selling a home energy efficiency package where it was like the solar attic fan. We help you insulate your roof. We do an air conditioning tune-up, LED lights, Nest thermostats, just make your home a little bit more energy efficient, not just with the solar panels. So yeah, they sold the whole package, the whole package.
Hey, as a solar installer, is one of the issues that you run into is skilled labor local?
They're starting to have certifications in community colleges, PV installer communication, photovoltaic. Yeah, it's starting to pick up. Now, when I started, it was something where you just kind of grabbed an electrician and said, "Hey, you want to learn something?" Yeah, or a roofer, right? You're up there anyway, Can you plug this in for me? But now, yeah, there's certifications involved, and you can get them pretty quickly. I think it's like 6 months. But with my company, Victory Solar, we are the fourth fastest growing solar company in Texas. We just passed up Tesla in February as far as installs in Texas. So.
Veteran friendly?
Hmm?
You veteran friendly?
Sir?
Is your company veteran friendly?
Absolutely.
All right. You ex-military?
No, I'm not. But my father, my grandfather is, and everybody should be veteran friendly. Thank you. I appreciate what you've done.
So how is getting permits for doing these systems?
So, first and foremost, you got to get HOA permission.
Right.
That takes about a week. Okay. So there is no HOA in Texas that can tell you that you can't go solar. Now, they can say things like, "Oh, we don't want to see the solar panels from the street," or "You have to put it in the back of the house," which is fine. That's cool. But if my master electrician, he's a NABCEP certified electrician, if he has a stamped paperwork that says, "I'm going to get 5 to 10% more production if I put it in the front of the house," the HOAs, their hands are tied. But in 1995, I believe, the Texas legislature said that you can't tell people where to get their power. So we're good there. That takes about a week. CenterPoint, on the other hand, is not excited about you going solar. They're not, "Oh, great, we have to buy your power back." That usually takes anywhere from 2 to 4 months. 2 to 4 months. But my company pays for the people's power while they're waiting. Yes.
On the solar field,
Yes, ma'am.
you're gonna do, say, 8 houses.
Mhm.
Would you put it on each house, or would you do like a field of panels?
So Dory's going to speak to that a little bit. You have options. Oh, okay. So yeah, so she was asking like if there was a group of 8 houses, do you have the option of roof mounting, or like a solar garden where they can all pool? And the answer is yes. You have both options. Co-ops mainly.
Which is the better option?
And I guess it depends on who you ask. If you have the land. Yeah, if there's land to use.
Is there a minimum amount of land that you have to have per solar field?
No, each solar panel is like 5 by 3. And they're about 40 pounds each. and the solar panels usually carry anywhere between 300 to 335 watts. Now everybody uses energy different, so every personalized system is going to be different per home, and every roof is different. Every roof is facing a different way. So personally, it's going to be different per house. No, with solar gardens, usually they're all going to be at about 35 degrees, all facing the same way in rows. It's,
Say if you had 2,000 square foot home,
Mhm.
how many panels are you going to need?
Depends on what your roof looks like. It depends on when your home was built. Depends on how your family uses energy. Because, what's that?
Do you have a pool out back?
Absolutely, all those things. Because I've built a system for a shotgun house that had 6 people living there. Everybody was at home all day, and the home was very energy inefficient. So they needed a lot of solar panels for that small house, but they didn't have enough roof space. Then you have a huge, mansion that only, 2 people live in, and they're rarely there. So it's like it's you prescribe different medication for different patients.
Individual
Absolutely.
come out and do an assessment
Mhm.
and see what.
Yeah, I can never be able to give you an estimate, like right here, right now, just based off what, I'd have to know so many factors.
Jump in and do
Yeah.
quick advertisement.
And now to commercial break.
I happen to have a commercial for the Green Building Resource Center. So I would like to invite anyone with questions like you have, ma'am, about how much power do I need for my house. I have the absolute perfect display up there. It's my favorite display on the floor, and I have about 50 of them, okay? Now what it does is it deals with averages. So it averages, this is, these are this is the information, these are vocabulary words. This is what you need, and it's based on an average house and an average amount of power usage. And then you can take your square footage and your usage and do the multiplication yourself and figure out kind of how much you're going to need.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's totally custom, like he did a great job of showing one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Okay? So there is no magic. Oh, you?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can just tell you need 6 panels.
Right.
All 15 panels over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Not happening. It depends on your house, and you have to go by the numbers. Okay?
But those things actually do work. So solar energy companies and solar installers, they use these type of information capture websites to where you Google in or you put in, I live on this address, so they look at your roof from an eagle's view. My house is this many square feet, things like that, and they give you an average. And usually my clients will set appointments based off that average. And usually it's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. But, there's still extremes. So yeah, you, sir.
Yeah, Houston ranks near the bottom of all cities in terms of solar per capita.
Yep.
So what are the biggest obstacles that you find and why people aren't putting in solar?
It's just regular old myths. It's too expensive. My HOA won't allow me to do it. I work for Chevron. I can't tell anybody. I work for Exxon. I work for Shell. I work for Schlumberger. As far as solar sun exposure through the day and throughout a year, Houston makes the most sense to go solar. Behind places like Phoenix, Arizona, and Las Vegas and stuff like that, you get the most out of your solar panels here than you would anywhere else in the United States. But it's me, Dory, Ephraim, and Steve, and it's us versus oil and gas giants. That's the main thing is why it's so slow. And of course, nobody wants to be the first person to jump in the pool. So when you go down streets and you see just one person with solar panels, you're more likely to see a second person with solar panels a few months down the road. But if you don't see anybody with solar panels, people are like, I'm not jumping in the water first. I don't know how deep it is. I don't know if it's cold or warm or anything like that. So it's more of a fear thing, Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, like, for example, with affordable housing, a lot of issues that we run into in terms of HUD has said it's okay, but we can't find a way to implement it with affordable housing. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, when I started solar at Solarcraft, a guy named Ralph Perry, he's the one that gave me an opportunity. And he actually put it on my heart to make sure that we're able to bring solar to our struggling communities, our urban communities in Houston. Yeah, Houston, here it is right here. Anybody with a home and that pays an energy bill deserves to go solar. We would love to take on any project, anybody that needs it. We just need informed people, and we need excited people, energetic people, enthusiastic people. You know, we do events that, you know, raise funds and things like that for solar, but everybody should inquire about going solar. Everybody. It's not for everybody, but everybody should inquire. I hope I answered your question, kind of, sort of. Did I answer about it?
That's quite fun. We have a project right now where we're looking at some affordable housing demonstration projects in the city of Houston.
Yeah.
10 of them. In not Sunnyside, 4 in Acres Home and about 15 in Settergas. That's
Yeah.
paid for through HUD. That we really wanted to look and think about solar.
Yeah.
But we were told it was too cost prohibitive and we couldn't think about it, and developers are not able to find anybody to help them out.
There's always a way, but there's always an excuse too. We can find a way. We can find a way.
Your background in these, kind of like the city of Houston has these mobile grids.
Mhm.
For projects like that, being able to have manufactured systems where you could do community solar projects,
Mhm.
integrated into shipping containerized systems, where you could deploy complete battery systems, complete systems for these affordable housing
Yeah.
communities, that maybe even integrate some of this, modular
Yeah.
construction opportunities could be a real way to integrate some very cost-effective deployable solutions to communities.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's more expensive to pay a Reliant bill every month than it is to go solar. It's way more expensive. But that's just a myth that we have to keep busting. And there's not that many solar installers here in Houston. Yes.
Let's kind of
Wrap it up.
do that for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's take a house that let's take a 2,000 square foot house. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
And just based on average usage, things that you've run into over the years, what KW system do you think would really take down some energy bills on a 2,000 square foot house? Let's just do the math here real quick for everybody.
Well, so we had worked with a home builder called Boss Life Construction. It's a Houston rapper called Slim Thug. And after Harvey, his construction company was building homes and rebuilding homes for those people that were affected and that couldn't bounce back. I went through Harvey, my house flooded, but I was in a better situation where I could bounce back. Not everybody had that situation. So what we did was we teamed up with them to have like a menu kind of like thing for the solar. So offset is the term that we use as far as how much solar can you produce compared to how much power you actually use. And so 3 really good size systems to kind of itemize it is 5 kW.
Okay, so 5 kW.
5 kW will cut most homeowners' usage in half. Most.
All right.
Most.
So then if you went 10 kW, you're pretty much cutting out your energy bills, right?
Yeah, 9 to 10 kW, because here in Houston, 9 to 10 kilowatt systems produce about 12 to 13 kilowatt hours.
Is that including AC?
That's everything.
Yeah, that's everything. All right, now,
That's everything.
are we looking at $2 a watt? Is that
No.
No. What are we looking at?
More $2.50 to $3.
$2.50 to $3?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So 250, I'm going to go with 250
Mhm.
for the heck of it.
Cool.
And we want a 10K system.
Yep.
All right, that's 10,000 watts. So 250 times 10,000 is 25 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So folks, that's what it is. And we're trying to do an affordable home,
There's
and you need to allow, can we get a grant? How can we cut down on 25K? But we're
Yeah.
looking at 25K. So
There's
what
cars
you're
and-
doing is you're
yeah.
front loading you know, you're front loading your electrical load for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
You're buying it ahead of time, and
Mhm.
you're not gonna pay CenterPoint for this. You're gonna pay down your note, like Theo eloquently talked about in the beginning. But there is this upfront charge, period. I mean, and that's why a lot of people, when you start going, how can I put solar on a house? They go, well, it's like this.
Actually,
Yeah.
a lot less than that, so it's 30% tax credit.
Yeah, you want 30% tax credit, you can, yeah.
My home is a 3,900 square foot home that I put on 6 kilowatts. They told me that it would get me half of my power, but at the same time, I switched out all the lighting, radiant barrier, everything.
There you go.
Switched out, and I got about 99% of the power from a 6 kilowatt system until I
Yeah.
started charging the electric.
Yeah, yeah, you make, Mhm.
6 kilowatt is enough for most homes if you make them more
Energy efficient.
You get 30% back. You're talking more in the $10,000
Yeah.
range.
absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Houses are more like 1,500 square feet average for affordable housing.
Yeah.
But what about maintenance?
No maintenance, no maintenance. So warranty for this equipment, I see you guys. So warranty on most solar equipment is gonna be 25 years. And that's just a manufacturer's warranty. Most installers will have a workmanship warranty for about 10 years that protects you from leaks and stuff like that. Now, as far as day-to-day maintenance, bird poop, falling leaves, pollen, that's not gonna affect the production or efficiency of the panels enough to see a difference. Rain is the maintenance. And we know we get rain every few months or so here in Texas. We don't want you getting on the roof. We don't want you spraying a hose at the panels or anything like that. Keep your feet on the ground. Those panels are gonna be fine. We have solar panels floating around in space that have been there since 1975. They're still working. They're still working.
Theo, how often should you have an inspection of your system?
Well, CenterPoint's gonna inspect it before they even turn on.
No, I know.
And then,
Annual, is it annually, every other year? How often should you have an inspection?
we do an inspection twice a year for the first 2 years.
Okay.
Usually if something's gonna go wrong with electrical stuff, it goes wrong when you turn it on. You know, and with a roof leak, you'll know the first time it rains. You know what I'm saying? So there's no maintenance with solar panels.
So that's
It's
what
very
I'm
low
hearing
maintenance.
across the people is your maintenance is an inspection.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna give you an example. I've got 387 solar panels up on the roof of the permitting center. It's the second largest array in Houston, Texas.
Nice.
And I haven't been having annual inspections. And I did have one last year, and one of my inverters was dead. That means I got a certain number of panels that are not getting their electricity into the building. So, what kind of maintenance? I don't need any maintenance on those panels, do I? No, but I mean, so you need to just inspect, and so if nothing's wrong, perfect, you won that year.
Yeah.
And you move on, right,
Yeah.
to the next year.
Evolving technology too, he's gonna have the ability, and you're gonna have the ability to know right away.
Yeah.
When that panel goes out, it's, that stuff is just coming online, so,
Yeah.
you're not really gonna have annual maintenance. You're gonna have you're gonna get a blip on your network.
Yeah, you'll have an app. You'll have an app. It'll tell you on a weekly basis what you're producing and what you're using. So it's kind of like, with personal trainers, sometimes they tell you to write down everything you eat. And then you notice that you're going to start eating a lot less. You're like, dude, I do not want to write down another donut. That's 6 already. I do not want to write down another one. So yeah, I mean, you have downtime at work. You check your usage, and you're like, dude, somebody turn off a light at home or unplug your phone, or you need to stop playing Fortnite till 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, you'll be able to tighten your energy belt because it's going to be in your face all day. Yes, sir.
Real quick, just to cut Steve's math in half, since he went 10.
Yeah.
And we'll go to 5.
Mhm.
So about, say, $10,000 to $12,000. If you can't finance that, Steve, doesn't the city have a program called PACE that could help with financing on things like this?
And that's for residential or commercial?
Oh, for residential.
PACE is not for residential
Oh, yeah.
at this point.
But yeah,
But
there's,
your
home equity loans, it's financeable, and installers often comes with their own installation financing.
Yeah. 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years.
10,000 in the bank.
Yeah. No. And this is interest rates anywhere from 2.99 to 4.99. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, $25,000 loan, I bet there's some folks in here driving a more expensive car than that. I am. Any other?
Shall we switch over?
Yeah. Hold on, we got one more question. Yes.
Okay, I was interested in the solar farm.
Yes.
And if you
Right on time.
Oh, wrong time?
No, I said right on time.
Oh, right on time, okay. But my curiosity is about how do you distribute the power to each one of the homes? And then there has to be some measurements of the power that's going in and out. Or you designated a set of panels per home, or how does it actually work?
So I'm going to hold off on answering that question. I'm going to introduce Dory. She's the queen of Sunnyside Energy Team and the Solar United Neighbors. But real quick, I need to speak to net metering real quick for the residential thing. If you're producing more power than you're using, it goes to the grid. And does everybody remember cell phones with rollover minutes? Whatever you don't use rolls over to the next month. Same concept with solar. Okay, whatever you don't use gets to go to the grid. At night, you get to get it back. And in a 12-month scale, you're going to be building up credits like in the winter, in the fall, when the AC's not working that much. But then in the summertime, we have to crank up the AC, and you have entertaining people, and people are home all day. That's when you're going to use those credits. So that's the net metering process. It's a plus and minus. We install a digital bilateral meter, so it actually moves backwards during the day when you're overproducing. And then at night, you have like 5 to 6, 7, 8 rotations before you pay anybody. But the solar garden and how that works, ladies and gentlemen, Dory Wolf.
And he went through a whole lot of, I can skip a bunch of slides because you guys are all knowledgeable about this. So, where do I begin? Mayor Turner put up this land in Sunnyside. It's a former landfill. It's now been closed since the 70s. And as part of C40 Reinventing Cities, he said, what can we do with this land that's good for the climate, that's good for the community, that's good for resiliency of Houston? And teams submitted proposals. And after 2 years, we got shortlisted, and then we just found out this summer that our team, the Sunnyside Energy Team, was awarded, and I'm looking through here, we have people that were very involved in making that happen, so thank you to all the team. Now we have, as I say, an opportunity to do this project, because it's not easy. Solar is never easy. It should be. It should be, but there are the myths, but then there are also just hurdles along the way. So we have the opportunity to take 240 acres of closed, unmaintained landfill, restore the cover, and then put solar on it. What I want to talk to you today about is that difference between solar on your home and community solar. Actual meter at your home and virtual net metering. Okay, so we've been doing Houston Renewable Energy Group for the past 3 years. I like to take all the slides that Steve showed you in the beginning, and you saw the uptick in the last few years. I like to say this because we did a Solarize Houston program. That's not all, but we did. We got the word out. We started getting people jazzed about going together and doing solar, taking away the scare factor, taking away some of the myths, teaching these education sessions. So we've been doing that, Solarize Houston. And then this past year, last December, almost a year ago, Solar United Neighbors came to Texas. And we said, well, hold on. We're already pretty good here in Houston. We partnered. So Solar United Neighbors and Solarize Houston is all one now, and we do solar co-ops, okay? So we get people together to do these co-ops and, again, teach and educate and go solar. In the Woodlands, as an example, that was our first co-op this year. You know why the Woodlands is named the Woodlands? They're beautiful, tall trees. And trees are wonderful, and they provide shade, and they're really, really good for the environment, but they also make it difficult to put solar on roofs. So we had, at our first info session, 93 people come, and of them, and the more that we went out to a whole bunch of other people, we got 10 contracts. And these were all 93 people who wanted to go solar, who got that. They got it, that they need to go solar, and they want to do it. They couldn't. Right?
So I'm like, oh, we need community solar. And we needed land. It turns out Entergy is a regulated, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, we can't do it in Woodlands. But we can do virtual net metering. We can do community solar in Center Point territory. It's not, again, easy. We don't have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. What it takes on this 240 acres, and I'm not sure what my slides, what order they're in, and whether I'm going to make it go forward or not. Or backwards, or maybe it just went to sleep. Ah, okay. Yeah, that was the next one. Okay, so why would you be interested in community solar? Do you rent? How many of you rent, don't even own a home, all right? How many of you have condos where you don't even own the roof? Anybody have condos? How many of you might move in the next few years somewhere else in Center Point territory? There's a lot of, someone was asking why people aren't going solar more. There's a lot of reasons. Some of these are them. And then there's the shade factor. And then, so community solar allows us to do that. So on this, and Theo talked all about the good reasons why we should be going solar. One of the reasons why we want, so there's our farm. Let's see if I can make this. So 240 acres. It's like a 3-mile walk to walk all around this property, just to give you a sense of scale. And over here is the Sunnyside Community Center and Park, beautiful park. Down here is a library. There's already a nice walking trail to go between the two. Up here in this northern section, our vision is there's going to be an ag hub, an aquaponic training center and facility to get hubs, and we can have people speak to that if we want, but also up here is the community solar aspect, 1.5 megawatt AC, 2 megawatt DC, community solar, and the vision is it's owned by the people for the people, okay? And this landfill has been not such a good neighbor in its years. So we want this solar, this whole farm, to be a good neighbor. We want environmental justice. That's one of the reasons we're doing this. And we've been working with community for the last 2 years to make this happen. So I don't want to talk about science. If you don't, actually I'll just say, we're so out of our sphere already. But, so I won't argue the science, but that's why partially I'm here. And that's what I have to do is right there, right? There we go. And the other thing is I'm just impressed with this Hindu temple up in the Woodlands. You say, well, let's get a good money return on our investment. These guys didn't get that 30% return on their investment, and yet they put an 80 kilowatt array on top of their temple. So it's a triple bottom line. We're doing this for more than just that bottom line, some of us. And I love what Theo said. I don't even need to go here. We need to do the energy efficiency, because the more energy efficiency you do, the smaller the array, or the more the array does for your home. So this vision, this community solar, and I should back up and say, Sunnyside Energy is a complicated project. I only like to work on complicated projects. There's many aspects. We need a Sunnyside trust. We need people from the community to be part of this trust to make sure that what we're doing with this array is really beneficial to the community. So I'll give you a website at the end. You can sign up and say, yeah, I want to be a trustee. We also are trying to provide, if we can't provide solar on the homes of people's homes that need it, can we provide them at least with discounted power? And we partnered with MP2 for this project to win this award, and MP2 has said, sure, I'll work with you guys to get discounted power to residents of Sunnyside, and maybe we can expand that beyond, but let's start with residents of Sunnyside. To do that, to find out what's discounted power, I need copies of bills. So we need to develop trust to say, all right, what are you paying now? How can we make sure that we're getting you discounted power? So we're working on that. That's an aspect. The Ag Hub is an aspect. And then the other part of it is we want to allow people to actually own these panels. And they don't have to be residents of Sunnyside. It can be anywhere in Center Point territory. We need about 200 to 300 homeowners, people who can't put solar on their roof or don't want to. They might be moving, they rent, all these other reasons, to say, sure, I'm willing to invest in solar. And by investing, it could be money up front if you have it, waiting in the bank. It can also be a loan, right? We can work the loan terms. So we need shareholders that buy this power up front or invest with, through a loan. And then we need a few churches or nonprofits or schools to be part of this mix. And together, we will be able to restore that northern section of the landfill and put ballasted, I think I have a picture of, okay, there's the ballasted array. And I'm not going to go into how a solar panel works because you've already heard essentially that photovoltaics is energy from the sun, and it's cells put together in an array. And the array, this is Bill Swan's here. I put a picture of your solar flower there because part of this project is going to be a donated 4-kilowatt array at the community center, so people will walk by on the way over to the solar farm and see how this works and be able to touch and feel it up close. And inverters, and we're gonna talk about measuring. I don't want to go into all of this. And there's the picture up front of the up close of the northern section where the community solar and the ag hub and the living labyrinth is going to be. And we've already talked about, Theo did a great job of how this works. And he's already talked about net metering. There's not officially, legally, net metering allowed in the state of Texas, except in some regulated utilities, because we're an unregulated market, so we're calling it buyback. So one question was, how is this going to work, right? How are these electrons that I'm invested in this field over here in Sunnyside, are going to reach me over here in West Houston or wherever people live? They're not. The electrons are not. The electrons are going to go into the grid and serve wherever it's needed. The credit for those electrons, MP2 has agreed as a third-party retailer to we're going to create a spreadsheet saying this shareholder owns 20%, this shareholder's 20%. Those credits will show up on your electric bill just as if you had solar on your home. Does that make sense? So you'll see a credit. Instead of paying $200 a month, if you've bought those 5 kilowatts of shares, you'll either see nothing. I think it's going to be something. There's going to be a connect. So you'll see $15 to $20 if you really sized it well, or you'll see half, 100 instead of 200. Whatever you decide, however you decide how much to invest. Am I speaking? Is that okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Yes.
Would T&D charges apply to that?
When I talk price of electricity for this project, I talk all in, right? When I decided to go solar on my home, they said it's going to be, 12 cents. That's all in. There's not a separate lines and pole charge, all right? There's not a separate distribution charge. It's all in. And that's the way we're going to talk it. So when I ask, what is your bill, all in, you take your month's kilowatt hours. I use 3,000, say, kilowatt hours for the month. There's 30 days anyway. And then you say, what is the price? I paid $300. Then do the math. That was 10 cents a kilowatt hour. That all in, okay? So that's how we're going to frame it on this one. Let me just make sure I'm talking what I should be talking. It's virtual buyback. MP2 has offered to do it virtually. And what happens if the power goes out? So you right now don't have a generator at your house. You right now don't have a Tesla or a LG battery bank at your house, maybe. Some of you might. When the power goes out, power goes out. So even if you have community solar, your power's still going to go out. So you can put in a battery bank without solar. And you can, if you have a generator, put in a battery bank and then just run your generator to charge up your battery and then shut the generator off and have nice quiet for those 3 to 5 days. Right. We don't have to have the generator noise. I will say, Theo, that a 10 kilowatt hour battery bank, you have to be a tight ship to get it to go. So you'll become a ship watching it when the power goes out. You'll be very cautious with your energy loads. All right, does that make sense on the battery? And this is, we've already talked about this, no moving parts. It's a 25-year warranted life. And you are protected from those increased rising costs. And I love what you said at the end of 10 years. You are a CEO of your own solar. And in fact, if you invest in this community solar array, you're a shareholder, of this energy generating asset. So here's some numbers you guys were starting to talk about. If they did a 4 kilowatt array at $275 a watt, and with a 30% federal tax credit, and do notice that that tax credit is going to drop to 26 next year. So these numbers will be slightly different. What is your payback in any of these, whether it's community solar or solar for your home? It depends on what you're paying now. So we'll take a look at your bill. We can help you with any of that. And then we talked about financing. With the churches, try and get a church to say, oh, I'll pay for my energy for the next 25 years. It's hard enough for them to, keep the lights on, some of them. So what we're saying is agree to purchase these credits. By agreeing to purchase these credits at a slight discount, we can say you've got savings. They can say they've got green power for their church, so they've got a green community, and they're part of this community solar array. So they do not have to. Churches and businesses, nonprofits that want to be part of this community solar do not have to have the funds to invest. They can agree to purchase the power from the array. Did that make sense? Okay. Say it again. Through the same credit system. We set that same allocation sheet that we give to MP2. They say, let me explain that. So there's a benefit to the shareholders to not having, say, if I'm managing Sunnyside Community Solar LLC, to not having me bother you every year for maintenance charges, for taxes, insurance, and all this. These churches or nonprofits that are part of our community solar array provide cash. By paying a discounted price for those credits, they provide the LLC with cash. We use that cash to pay the insurance, the taxes, the maintenance. And so I don't have to bother shareholders. You pay once, up front, or get the lease, and that's it. There's no monthly annual fee associated with being part of this community solar array. That's the design. But did I answer your question? Okay, and the same thing, so they get 15%, each of us shareholders, 15% of the power our shares produce get carved off for these nonprofits. And the nonprofits then pay cash at a discount for those credits. And that's how the whole cycle works. And I can explain that much more slowly if we need to go through that. Let's just see what else I have here. So, if your roof is not good for solar, if you love those shade trees, they're doing a good job keeping you cooler in the summer, keep the shade trees and go with community solar. And talk to your church. Churches oftentimes are like, yeah, we want to be a green sanctuary, but we need help. We can be a green sanctuary without putting money down. Yes.
So when they agree,
Yeah, go ahead.
when they agree to purchase it, are you giving an all-in price?
Yes, same. It's going to be the net meter price, and at this point, I think we're at just under 12 cents, which again is why the payback makes a difference. How much of your array you're going to put into solar makes a difference of how long your payback is. And for churches, I won't have them do it unless we can show them a savings. It won't be much. It's not a huge savings. But I can't have them go to their congregations and say, we want to pay for green power and we're going to pay more. No, we pay already too much. Okay, good. And companies, businesses, as you were talking about, that you can, accelerated depreciation is great. So businesses could invest in these shares. If they don't own the building that they're in, but they pay a lot of rent, they could be part of this community solar array. And again, I talked about what if you move. A lot of reasons why they move to their children's school district, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to have to drive my kids to school. I'm going to move to this neighborhood. It's still in Center Point. So we just change that allocation sheet. We change it from one meter to another, right? So it moves with you as long as you stay in Center Point. And if you need to sell, it's a share. You sell your shares, and we help you do that. We offer it to within shareholders within our community first. So it's done. We're not being pioneers. Actually, we are being a little bit of a pioneer here in Houston, okay? Our claim to fame is this, the solar farm itself will be the largest urban farm, in-city farm. And the community solar will be the first that I know of shareholder-owned, okay? So let's be the first, but the industry, the technology, I didn't give any history of me, but I've been in solar since 98, showing my age, and it was well before Al Gore, right? It was when the backwoods, we were just getting into without batteries, and so now we're coming back full swing to with batteries. And the smart grid, that's where we're ultimately headed, that we have our electric cars, our, fixed battery storage, and we just make this system work. And don't get me started on having young people tell us what we should be doing, because we need to all know it and do it. Okay. I think that's it. Other than, and then I'll answer questions. This is my big plug. I need 300 people to be shareholders, and I know the funnel. I need 1,000, because 1,000 people will say, sure, I'm interested, for me to get 300. Okay, so if you think you might be interested in either being a shareholder of a community array, and I found out, by the way, if you have solar on your home but not enough, you can do both. You can be a solar homeowner and a community solar. You can do both. If you want discounted power, or you know of someone in and around Sunnyside who is paying too much for did I hear 20 cents someone say? Oh my goodness. So we need to get to these people, and this trust is gonna help them with sometimes they have to pay money for the first year because they're unworthy or unliable. We're gonna cover that cost. So we're gonna try and help people go with discounted solar through this trust. So if that interests you, the community solar, what's the other one? Discounted power, there's 3. Anyway, if you're interested in all, please go to this website, solarunitedneighbors.org, Sunnyside, and just click sign up. And if you put your name on one of the forms out there, I'll include you as well, because we want to make this thing go. All right, so now I saw questions here, and then I'll work my way around. Was there a question, Ness?
Quick question. Are the shareholders limited to residential customers?
No. Shareholders can be businesses, nonprofits as well, if they want to invest. So no, it's open right now. Okay? Yes.
So looking at Sunnyside, I drove that site a couple of days ago.
Okay.
And looking at the backbone of HIC, so maybe integrating that integrated backbone of the elementary schools as a foundation starting point. And you mentioned doing stuff with SLIM. I talked to Bun. Getting, especially within that community, generating some social media buzz, getting kids involved, like what Ephraim's doing. You're going to, that social media buzz, that cool factor,
all right,
snap up everything you're trying to do.
So let me thank the people like Theo and Theo's partner, Amanda Sapp, who had us on the radio this morning, drumming up exactly that, getting people jazzed about it. And Ephraim teaching kids in his solar outdoor classroom this Friday, 5 to 7. Come see us again and spread the word. We're going to be at 4818 Higgins, and we're going to be touching those solar panels and really, really getting down to the earth of that. But wait, something else you said. Oh, shoot. Yes, all right. Yeah. So Addix School, so there's an elementary school right there, and Addix is just down the way. The challenge with HSID right now, to get this opportunity from the city, we had to not obligate the city to anything, right? They're putting up the land, that's all they can do. So we've said, you should want this power. You should want it, and they can't want it, because it's gonna be more expensive, not to you, as I didn't even go into the price. I think I can make the price equal or better, because we're doing scale, than what you would pay to be on your roof. Now, if you have a good roof, go solar on your roof. Do it now, because it's going to be faster. We have to remediate, we have to restore the site. But I want to do it next year, 2020.
You guys are doing food too, so water, food, energy. Those
Yes.
things combined with what's happening there with the farming side of things, it generates a whole other dynamic to what you're doing at that site.
Yeah, so I'm not even talking about the Ag Hub, and we could if we wanted to, spend some time, but that's what we'll do Friday too. We'll talk about aquaponic and the full cycle of energy actually sequestration through ag processes. And Dan Cohen is here, and his students helped to get us this opportunity because they studied that part of the business plan. Good, other questions?
The rural aspect of it, the gentleman mentioned it. How would that, the farm, solar farm, would it be in a, say you have houses out in the rural, maybe a quarter of a mile separated, how would the power distribute with a solar farm like that?
Okay, so we are in the city, but this solar farm right now phase one, will not have battery storage. This community solar that we're doing for this first section up here will just be solar, no battery. What's not shown on this plan, but actually shown in the very early one, right? Now that my clicker's working, I feel like I can go right back here. You can't see it, but I know that it's there. If I can click on it. Right up here, there is, and this is scale, you realize this is so many acres. There is an area that we're just gonna have for batteries, trailers of batteries. When CenterPoint says, yes, we want it, to put in battery storage in a big way, to make it what you guys are talking about, a microgrid, so that when the power goes down in and around Sunnyside, we have power. Yes, we're gonna power the community center with one battery trailer, so that they'll have, the community center will have power in an outage. But to make this a microgrid, Puerto Rico style, where this array, this farm can now feed power during a hurricane outage, that's a big deal. That's money that's gonna come phase 2 or phase 3, and it will come particularly when CenterPoint says, we value it enough, because all the rest of the time, when life's good, right? It stabilizes the grid. It allows the swings to avoid peak demands. It takes care of these summer challenges where we're spending, what is it, $9,000 a megawatt hour to bring in power from West Texas, because we need so much of it here in the city. So there'll be a time, we're just not quite there yet, when that battery storage will be wanted and economical. We're just not quite there yet. Good question, though.
So the plan is to put solar panels throughout that whole area, and about how long do you think that will take before all of that is utilized, all that land?
Good. We submitted a time, we have to get the legal documents signed first from the city, but we've submitted a timeline that is within 3 years. And my personal, and I like challenges like this northern section, we can do that this coming year, 2020. By the end of 2020, I want to give all these shareholders 26% return on their, the federal ITC. I say that, right? I need everybody, I need Amanda to help us, I need Ephraim I need the community to come out, but that's my vision. And then the rest will come once we get the numbers to work. Because solar, the reason why we can stand here and present this opportunity is because solar is a good investment for people with money in that they can shield capital, the federal government has made it a good thing. So banks, people that have these kind of need for accelerated depreciation on their taxes, they will come with big money and invest in this. So I want the top part to be for the people, by the people, this community solar here. I want some income from the big array to go to the trust, so the trust can decide how to put it back into the community. But I can't yet do this thing. I need big money to come in to do that. And to do that, we need to make the numbers work, which we're very close. Okay? Other questions and thoughts? And yes.
In looking at that site, looking strategically around the city of Houston, there's other opportunities, some other similar opportunities, different than a landfill, but some other remediation opportunities on large pieces of land in communities that have very similar profiles as Sunnyside. So say this project is focused on Sunnyside and you're able to generate that. Do you think maybe if there was other opportunities, very similar communities, very similar style projects that
is it replicatable?
Locations, but say you could come together on the same style concept.
Is it replicatable? That was one of the things this grant, C40, Reinventing City, says, show us something that can be done again and again and again, right? We don't want this to be a one solution. We want this to work on all. I was driving around some areas of Houston where, yeah, rather than mowing that field, let's mow it for a cause. Let's put bees on it, by the way, because bees are work very well on solar fields. And then I just share a neat thing I heard about a brewery making the beer with honey from bees that were on solar. So it was a solar beer, and just beautiful. So we can go places with this. We definitely can. Dan.
What's the business plan for the main solar farm?
It's the same. It is getting the numbers to work and getting an investor And once we have an investor, then we start the permitting process. This,
With the hope of selling it merchant power into ERCOT, or?
oh, I'm sorry, so,
Like a PPA, or what?
yeah,
How do you see it
right.
working?
I wanted the city to want it, right? That would be easiest, but they're not, and we're not priced for the large TSUs to be interested in it yet, right? So we are looking for an off-taker or a series of off-takers, but we don't have we can't sell it yet because we don't have the pricing ironed out.
Is that 60 megawatts?
It's a 70 megawatt, the big, yeah, this big is a 70 megawatt.
70 megawatts.
Yeah,
So
which,
you might split it among a few off-takers?
yes, absolutely. So if you know of, so I'm focusing on community solar, but if you say, I've got a big picture idea for you for the rest of it, let's bring it on. We're
Would think any land as small as 20 acres or something do anything for anybody?
well, so now I am so focused on making this project work. And I'll tell you, if we talk brownfields, I'm okay talking brownfields. But when you say, but there's a beautiful green field that's just waiting for solar over here, let's do the challenging projects first. And so I am focused on this. But you could do the same idea if you said I have a community of homeowners, and we have together this, even a 2-acre field. And we want to put in, like, I'll just give you an example. Up in New England, I do 2-acre community solar, and I have 20 homeowners and 1 town, small town, everything's small. And that's my community solar. It's beautiful. It's 150 kilowatt, not 1.5 megawatt. So it's a factor of 10 smaller. But yes, just like the Ag Hub, I hadn't thought about this, but just like the Ag Hub, where we're planning on teaching everybody about aquaponics and then people going out and doing pods in their own backyard. So we have a series of farms all throughout Sunnyside and beyond. Same thing. We learn about shareholders. We make the templates. This is not going to be private. This is going to be, once we get this template vetted, once we get the legal documents ready, they can be done on a smaller scale. Absolutely.
When you're talking about trying to engage those homeowners, right, so that number that you need in that area, right? So when you're looking at the ag side of things, so you're looking at creating a farming network. So within that community, those people can get engaged. They can maybe earn something out of engaging solar on their own home. They're saving money. You're not only creating an opportunity for somebody to save money, right? But you're creating an opportunity for possibly somebody to be part of a bigger network. And that creates a buzz to be able to, and we have the ability to network all those people together.
Yeah, no. The Ag Hub and Pod, if you talk to Ephraim and Robert Harding, is a small business model, right? You are intended, and if you can power it from the sun, then it's...
You start farming the sun, you're farming
Yep.
food, it works in the same concept.
Yep. Good. Other questions? Yes.
You mentioned MP2, and I'm not familiar with them. I imagine they're a retail electric provider. So,
Wholly, let me just say, wholly owned by Shell, but go ahead.
okay, and so as you buy into this, you become a customer of MP2 for the next 20.
So in Texas, and James can correct me if I'm wrong, you can't do really long-term contracts. We're going to own these. Shareholders are going to own them for a long time, but I believe it's like a 5-year or a 10-year max agreement. But then if it's 10-year, we'll roll every 5 years. We'll renew it so that it's always ongoing. But yes, to become a shareholder with our current partner, which is MP2, you would need to switch your power plan over to MP2.
So MP2 was with local sun out in Sealy, right?
Yes, that's...
So they've already got experience in a local solar farm here in the region.
That's why Kevin Boudreau is on our team, is because he's like, yeah, I'm willing to work with my, he has to work with Shell to get them to say, look, there's something new and different we're trying here. So it's very exciting that we do have MP2 willing to try these, and I think others will come around. So like we create this template. Now they've got these locked in 300 people who aren't going to switch and shop around. They're going to stay with MP2, right? GME will come along. There'll be others. We're starting the model, but we're excited to be the first. Other questions? How many of you are like, oh, I'm going to go put my name down for this? Yes. Yes. Good. I already know some of you already have, but that's all right. And then I will just put a plug in. The other thing Solar United Neighbors does is solar co-ops. I started that, right? And we are starting one up in College Station. We have our going out for bid in one in Lake Olympia, which is where I met Theo. And if you say, oh, I want to do a solar co-op as well, meaning I want to put stuff on my roof, but I don't want to go it alone, I want the help of Solar United Neighbors, all we need is a champion, and we can do it in your neighborhood as well. Okay, that was my plug. Is there anything else we should be doing? Did I answer all those technical questions?
I think so.
Do you know the difference between community solar and private on your home solar?
Yes.
Okay.
Then you've earned your credits.
All right, well, how about a round of applause for